What's up everybody, Chris Harris here with filmandgamecomposers.com. Today is going to be my next review of Embertone's Chang Erhu. Chang Erhu is one of Embertone's most recent releases. It is an extremely expressive as well as an impressive addition to Embertone's deeply sampled range of instruments. For anyone who is unfamiliar with the work of Embertone, they embarked on a journey of creating affordable and highly inspiring tools for any composer looking to work with virtual instruments. Chang Erhu is on par with the likes of their popular Blakes cello and Friedlander violin. The Erhu is a two-stringed bowed instrument that is known as the Southern Fiddle as well as the Chinese violin. It has been used as a solo instrument as well as in large orchestral settings of all types of genres. The Chang Erhu requires the full version of Kontakt 4.2.4 Plus. Today I will be using it with the most recent version of Kontakt 5. It offers three types of legato playing styles: bowed, slur, and same note. It also provides a speed control portamento articulation. Embertone has cleverly designed a very impressive speed responsive script that makes legato passages that much more simple to program. They have also scripted an amazing vibrato feature which offers control of both speed and intensity. Short articulations included are pizzicato and staccatos of up to 8 round robin. Like their other solo string instruments, the parameters that which you can automate and control are very in-depth. There's two versions available for purchase from their website, the 16-bit and 24-bit. Be sure to check their website out for more details about system requirements. Now on to installation. After purchasing Chang Erhu from Embertone's website, you'll receive your download links. There are 6 compressed files that will download and contains a total of 1.4 gigabytes of space. Just simply follow the installation instructions and you are good to go. Your time will vary as far as downloading. Mine only took around 10 minutes because I have a fairly decent internet connection. But again, depending on where you live and what your internet service provider offers, your results may vary. Once unpacked, you can choose between two versions of the instrument. And I'm going to go in here in the quick load and show you. So here's the main instruments folder. They give you both mono and stereo. For this review, I'm going to be using the stereo patches. Now, within each version or each instrument type, you'll get 6 NKIs. 3 will be full versions, the other 3 will be low RAM. The biggest difference is that the speed responsive script is turned off in the low RAM patches. This again is what is most extensive on your CPU as well as the RAM. So please note that the full instrument is not designed to be used with direct from disk settings. So with that said, I personally like to use the full version because it gives you the most realistic results. Everyone's kind of setting and what they need is going to vary. So let's take a look at just kind of what the 3 different types of patches that are offered for each kind of setting. The first patch is the All CCs. This offers you a feature, it offers you the full featured instrument with all of the mods and all of the CC assignments. But this one's been designed to be used with the Touch OSC template, which you can refer to the user manual for more information about this if you utilize that. I do not use the Touch OSC or any type of touch tablet in my work environment. The next is this mod wheel patch. This is the this instrument is again the full version. It offers everything, but it's mapped the dynamics as well as the vibrato scripting to the mod wheel. And then lastly, and my favorite, is the Mod Wheel Plus Expression patch. The mod wheel controls the vibrato and the expression CC11 controls your dynamics. I personally like to have those separated so I can have full control over both of them. So in the end, you know, there's a lot of instruments where you might have a lot of different parameters and automation lanes to control all different kinds of stuff for realism. You could simply do this all in one lane, or you can put them to wherever you want. So now let's talk about the interface in general, and we'll get a little bit more unscripted at this point into kind of how I like to use this. So in the first page here, it's the main page. There's a lot of stuff that you can control. And just kind of starting from left to right here, on the top here you have a little lock icon. This is known as the dynamic key switch, and you can turn this on or off. I'll get into a little bit more depth later when we get into the configuration page and what this is, but more importantly, you have control of it right here. And then moving down is the standard typical articulations that you have. It's good to note that the sustain articulation with the legato present is going to give you the ability to play the 3 different legato types. Again, you have the slurred, bow change, as well as same note. And then on low velocities you have the speed scripted or speed controlled portamento, which I'll show you here in a minute. And then on the right side here you have kind of the, I guess, playing style or the sound that you want. You can turn on and off your round robins that if you want those, and then you can turn on and off legato. Again, all of these can be controlled via the keyboard. All the legato does will just basically change from a monophonic or a polyphonic mode. And obviously with it on, you will get your transitions and your different legato playing styles. And then Sordino mode gives you the muted sound. And then Ensemble mode, which you can configure in this page, will basically just make a small ensemble of up to 8 players. And then we've also gotten this nice little reverb sound included. So this instrument was recorded close and dry, and I turned the reverb off so I can give you kind of the impression of what it sounds like dry. And here you'll just play kind of a simple cliche kind of sound here. As you can see, there's no tail. Personally, and for this review, I'm going to set this to around a 80-20 mix. And this gives me just kind of a nice, keeps the kind of dry quality that I want, as well as gives me that little tail. So let's talk about the legato for a second. Now, as you could hear when I was playing, and if you watch this little status indicator here, it'll tell you what's being triggered. Keep in mind, I'm not using any pedals or any key switches. This is all just my right hand playing a passage. Sorry, I was having a hard time getting the low dynamic there to get the portamento sound. So anyways, what you noticed there was all bow change legato, or just sustain if I don't trigger the actual legato transition. If you were to use the sustain pedal, this will give you your slur legato, but will also completely sustain the note that you're playing. And then you can also hear that I'm also playing the same note, and that to me is a really good same note legato. And that was all holding down the sustain pedal to get the slurred sound. That's one of my favorites. Now you can control how the slur legato is triggered in the configure page. I used to utilize it to where I had a fader where full up was bow change, full down was slur, so you could just kind of automate it. But now I kind of like the more performing style with either the sustain pedal or this little kind of toggle key switch here, or latch. I don't really know the difference. But anyways, what this will allow me to do is I can play and not get that sustain sound. So it's just a very nice kind of alternative to play a little bit more kind of short kind of legato passages. So you can kind of alternate between holding this down or using the pedal to kind of get the more lyrical sound that you want. And so again, the sustain is going to be in this key switch, and then you can kind of latch or toggle to the slur when it's held. And then now the staccato sounds. which are great. As you can hear, it's a pretty nice short sound. By default, the staccato speed response, or speed or length control. Sorry, my dog is laying down next to me. He's a big guy. Anyway, so you can turn this on or off, but what this does is it couples the length of the staccato to the level of dynamics that you're using. So I've got the dynamic set to CC11 in this one. So as you can hear, this is what staccato sounds like with 0 or 1 on the CC11. So you can hear it's already pretty short, which is kind of the quality of the instrument if you're familiar with the Erhu. All the way up though, you can hear it's a lot more crisp. So you can play a little bit faster. And then you also have full range over the velocity. But so kind of, I'm going to start down with CC11 down to 0, and I'm just going to play the same note so you can kind of hear how it transitions and how it sounds. So it's not a big drastic change, but you can definitely morph the quality of your staccato to get a more realistic sound of how the bow is being attacked onto the string. Okay, moving on to the pizzicato. Again, this one is not, you don't have any control over the speed, so you have just the standard pizzicato sound and the velocities. So, again, a nice little quality to the pizzicatos. It's something different, and it's definitely it definitely is a color. It's its own character. So, really cool. And then onto the tremolo. Tremolo is just like any other instrument. It just bowing back and forth, and so you have dynamics. And it's good to note that you can use this in a legato setting, but there isn't any like special kind of legato transitions for it that I'm aware of. It's just a simple one-shot kind of monophonic legato transition there. So you can turn this off and go to polyphonic mode, and you can something I think would be really kind of nice, and this is just me, you know, my preferences. It'd be kind of cool to get a little bit control over the speed of the tremolo. So, you know, if you're at a lower dynamic, you kind of get kind of a different quality instead of just a super fast things. Just my own kind of idea to throw out there. Okay, so that's kind of the basic, the main page and how it works. Now let's check out the, oh, sorry, let me go back to this. You also have key switches here that can turn on and off the different modes. So right now we're in normal, which is via this F here. And then if you just move chromatically, it'll change between muted and unmuted. And I might as well give you kind of an idea of that instrument. So here's the Sordino version of these articulations. I need to have legato on. My bad. Whoops. So it definitely has a really different sound. And then your staccatos. You can really hear the transition there of the speed. So I'm at lowest CC11. Gotta have a little bit more grit and grind into the string, and then a lot more crisp when you go all the way up. hit staccato. It can do some really cool effects, kind of getting out of the kind of more of a traditional mode there. So you can kind of do some really interesting little phrases when you have this sorting on. And this is just such an odd sound for that instrument. It's kind of, it's unique. It's something that I love uniqueness in solo instruments. It just kind of will give you a character or, you know, a color that you might need for the work you're doing. So we'll go ahead and take that off so we can get the more traditional sound. And then we'll switch on ensemble mode and we'll go over here and check this out. So how this works, excuse me, how this works is you have up to 8 players that you can use, and you can deselect them by just clicking. Pretty simple. So you can arrange your own set of, you know, 4 players. You could do just a duet. It's quite remarkable actually how they did this and what they've included as far as how to automate it. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Excuse me. It's what happens when you don't talk very much and you try to do this. So then they also give you a left and right width, which is really nice. It gives you more control over the sound, especially with this stereo patch here. So let's talk about this intonation. This one I kind of laughed because I was thinking, I was like, well, who would want to use this? And I was just trying to think of creative possibilities that this can give you. Imagine a class, if you will, of 5-year-olds who are given Erhu for the first time, and you're trying to teach them how to play just, a few notes. This is what I imagine it would sound like. I love that one. It's so sharp. And there's a randomness element to this too that can give you kind of the thing. Oh, sorry, this just makes me laugh so much. Like you can just make this sound horrible. So let's talk about this tightness. This is how accurate the samples play together. So how accurately these 8 different kind of tweaked samples will sound. So they're all together, but the intonation is completely just gone to, it's been thrown out the window. And so this tightness, if you move this all the way up, then it's basically like listening to people who have no rhythm. It's so bad. I love it. I absolutely love it. But you can turn this, maybe to around 114. And now with the randomization button, this you can control how much above and below randomly the tightness of this will be. So if we move this to, let's say, 100 milliseconds, then we'll have a tightness of up to 328 or 128. So it's just going to sound complete. Let's listen to the staccato. That's what So if you're thinking of, like the context that you could use this, I mean, as someone who's wanting to get into film scoring, that's definitely almost like a sound design choice that you could use to mimic a situation of, a group that's just they're just not good. So this really just kind of made me laugh a lot on how that works. But for the sake of being able to hear, I'd recommend maybe around 16 to my ears. Like I had it at 20 at one point, and we'll turn this down to, let's say, around 64, and we'll do about 20 there. So it gives you a little bit of difference there, and then we go back into the legato. And I'll kind of play so you can kind of hear, like at 45 now. Like I don't know how good your ear is, but I can kind of hear the discrepancy there. And so, like that, it would be that's a pretty decent expectation for, a moderate like performance. So you could really kind of just grade where these go. But I, if for like professional work and trying to get to sound good, I'd stay below 20. That's just kind of my number. It would vary. Other people might disagree, but you know what? This is my opinion. So. But anyways, this is how I guess the ensemble page works, and I think it's a very cleverly developed concept. So we'll turn that off and check out the configuration here. So again, I kind of showed this very briefly, and I'm sorry about that, but as you can see, you get control over the staccato length control. Again, I said this is coupled to dynamics, so whatever you set this to, and that kind of shows you, it allows you to, just a menu to select. Whatever you have this set to is also going to control the length of your staccatos. I feel like there should be a little bit more control over how much to slow them down and speed them up. Almost like it should be at 50%, kind of, above 50, below 50. Or sorry, not like 100% should be set at like the middle of the fader. So anything above that number or below is going to adjust it faster or slower by X amount. Just because it would be nice to have a little bit slower sounding staccatos. But I also understand that the type of instrument and how it's designed, you really don't get, any kind of longer, you're really getting into more of a marcato sound, which I guess would be kind of good to emulate. And then I also made mention of the portamento speed control. This is done, as you can see here, I'm using a fader. I've got it set to CC21. And so if we kind of go, I can just play from right here. So playing on low velocities, and you know what, I'm going to turn this up. Oh, that's why. Okay, 127. No wonder it was so short. My keyboard reacts a little bit better with it around there. So we get more of a... And so if we turn this up, this is the speed now at 350%. So it's a lot faster. And then you hear all the way down to just 75% of the speed. It's a lot slower. So you can really control, tweak this to taste. I kind of usually would prefer it kind of just in the middle. But yeah, you can kind of control its taste. Now the dynamic key switching. Let's talk about that for a second. So here you can adjust this and basically all this is anything that I play when these key switches, if I play below 100, by default it's 100. Let's go ahead and turn that on. So anytime I hit a key switch below 100, as you can see, I'm momentarily getting these, but then it goes right back to sustain because sustain is locked. How you can change to the other articulations and have them lock there and then now kind of toggle between them is by playing, hitting these over 100 on the velocity. And so now I can kind of switch back and forth from a staccato, so you kind of get a... Sorry, crappy playing there. And I'm falling in that trope of just playing in that same mode over and over again, so I apologize. So anyways, that's basically how it works, and it's very intuitive. And again, they've given you the parameters to control that, and all of this can be, set up to work off of a Lemur app or the Touch OSC applications, to where you can just hit the buttons and it just works for you. So again, I always love when an instrument offers this much flexibility. And then, so that's kind of, that's those. And then again, we talked about the portamento, and you can turn the release samples on and off. So very basic. And then over here we have the overall control of the sound and intonation. So this affects the entire instrument, whereas this was just really what affects the ensemble that you hear, but this will affect the overall sound, and it by default I think was set to like 6 or something. We'll just set it at 9, and then you can control the bow noise. So let's listen. There's no bow noise. There's no bow noise set right now, and let's go into legato. But if we just it's kind of hard to hear, but there's kind of like a fuzz that kind of is layered in there. So anyways, yeah, so this is Embertone's Chang Erhu, and again, we'll just kind of go back here. Please check out their website there. It's embertone.com, and just kind of wrap up my thoughts on this, for the value of it, and I forgot to look that up for today's review. I'm an idiot. Yeah, so it's the 16-bit version is $80, and the 24-bit version bundle, which comes with both 16 and 24-bit, is $85. And so for that price, in my opinion, I mean, you're getting a full-fledged, deeply sampled legato, as well as all the different the basic art. Yes, it is basic articulations, but they've kind of captured the quality of the instrument so well. You get a nice reverb for the instrument that suits it very well, as well as just the scripting involved is brilliant. So again, I love tools like this where I can let's take a step back. I personally like a tool that is simple, but I also want a tool that allows me to create and give me a character and give me full control over how to adjust that character. This is one of those instruments. Yes, it can be a little bit complex to figure out the setup here and how it kind of functions, but just like any instrument, any real instrument, it takes time, in practice to figure out. This one didn't take much time to kind of just figure out how to perform with it. And, once you start using it in the mix, again, it's a dry instrument. I love solo instruments that are dry because it gives me more room to kind of tweak and mix them into whatever I'm using, whether it's a very big and open sounding score or it's a small and delicate. This will accomplish all of those needs, and I highly encourage you, if you need a Erhu, to pick this up. Again, this is the only Erhu on the market that I'm aware of that is this deeply sampled and gives you this much control over the sound. So Embertone did a wonderful job. I would highly recommend this. So appreciate your time. Please subscribe to filmandgamecomposers.com's YouTube channel here, and be sure to check out their website for other reviews, articles, and information regarding new releases such as books and or ebooks. Appreciate you watching this. Thank you so much. Have a great day.